Hello and welcome to Kindness Wins Games, where we are playing Cities Skylines. And specifically, we're working on the Green Cities expansion scenario called City of Gardens, where we are trying to reach a population of over 50,000 citizens with an average happiness of over 85. We need 15,000 squares of organic and local produce specialization, and we need to construct 10 different parks or plaza buildings. So those are our objectives for winning the game. I do want to make a correction from last time. I misunderstood what this was saying. I thought that this meant that if you had a population under 1 for 30 game weeks, you lost. What it's actually saying is you kind of have this 30 game week grace period, and then after that, if your population is under 1 or if your happiness is under 60, then you lose. But I don't think that we're in danger of any of these, so we should be in pretty good shape. Last time, we left off by solving the beginning stages of a death wave. And one of the things that we discovered here is that we have some zoning at the entrance and exit of our city. Now, at some point, we're going to want to do something differently here. And as a way of dealing with this in a very easy way, I am just going to go ahead and remove zoning along this entrance. And that will kind of solve the problem for us. Perhaps not the most elegant solution, but it will do. All right, so with our overall objectives in mind, let's focus on what we want to accomplish today. So I think we want to start by drawing out some districts. Oh, let's actually solve a power problem here real quick. Okay, so our citizens are consuming just over what we're producing at the moment. We have enough money for a geothermal power plant. We're going to go ahead and install one of these. I want to think about this for a moment because I think one of the things that I like to do in this game is to create an area that houses that's not the correct term, but an area that features most of our public works buildings. So, things like public transportation or power, water treatment, things like that. So, this area, I think, will remain industry or maybe even be swapped out for residential. And I think I want to do like a public works facilities area, maybe over here. Let's check out our natural resources in this area. We may want to do a forest industry area there. Come to think of it, one of our objectives here is to have produce specialization, which indicates to me that we want farms, and there is really not a ton of farmland available on this map. We've got some way over here. I can't even zoom out farther. And we have some over here. It looks like we're going to need to purchase land to the south here. And we'll need to pack in a lot in a small area. But we'll deal with that in a little while. Let's focus on choosing a location for our public works campus and putting down a geothermal plant. I've decided to keep things simple, work with what I've got, and return to something I mentioned a couple of times in the first episode about just kind of taking a more relaxing approach to this game and not obsessing over where everything goes. So just trying to kind of work with the layout that existed and doing our best to keep things clean and tidy. So we are going to kind of use this space here where we already have some recycling centers. We already have a couple of landfills, so maybe this will become our public works area here. All right, onward. One of the things we want to do today is draw districts. So I think what we'll do is have an east neighborhood, a west side neighborhood, and then an industrial district here in the center. After drawing districts, I think I want to focus most of our attention on this town center. So we want to build out more services, provide some parks for our citizens, and then with any remaining space, we'll probably turn this into commercial use. Along the way, we're going to try to mitigate some of this pollution, maybe transition wholly into recycling centers and eliminate these landfills, and possibly even get to a point where our power is 100% sustainable and we can eliminate these 3 coal power plants here. And in fact, because we placed down this geothermal power plant, we can go ahead and very quickly tackle this problem, at least partially. So we have plenty of power. Each one of these coal power plants outputs 40, and we currently have 80 megawatts in excess almost. Something like that. So let's go ahead and eliminate 2 of these power plants and just kind of make sure that we are still in good shape power-wise. I was hasty. Mistakes were made, and I eliminated 1 too many coal power plants. So let us correct that mistake with maybe a couple of wind turbines. Yeah, let's put a little wind farm up here. And we'll build 3 of these for now, and then connect it to our power. All right. Excellent. So these power issues should go away. Great. Okay, next time I will be more careful with my math. And let's see. There is one other thing that we want to talk about here, just establishing our objectives. I mentioned this before. We do want to begin thinking about farming. So seeing now that we have almost... Oh, look at this. Okay, so seeing now that we have almost no farmland, essentially just down here, I think a couple of the steps that we could take is simply purchasing the land, purchasing tiles toward that farmland. So those are 4 objectives for today. Let's get into the first one, which is drawing districts. We'll start with this East Side neighborhood. Looks like a little mitten. All right. That takes care of our east side. And let's now draw out our west side district. All right. So we have east side, west side, and now finally we need our industrial district. And as I mentioned before, later on we might kind of delineate this as a Peach Trees Public Works campus, but for now we'll just have this included in our industry district. And speaking of that, let's go ahead and name these. This will be First Industrial District. Here we will have... All right, we're going to call this neighborhood East Peach Trees Beach. East Peach Trees Beach. And then this will be West Peach Trees Beach. Oh, wait, you know what we'll do Peach Trees Beach. And then we'll call this Peach Trees Beach East Side. Okay. Does this make sense? I don't know, but we're going to go with it for now. Okay, so let's set some policies here. First of all, we want a citywide policy of recycling. This will reduce our garbage accumulation while at a cost of reducing tax income, only slightly. Let's see, do we want any other citywide policies. I think we do want free public transportation. This increases the use of public transportation, and it's at a cost of eliminating ticket income. But frankly, if I were a citizen living in peach trees, I would want to be able to catch a ride on the bus or the tram without having to worry about bringing a nickel. All right, next up, let's focus on our first industrial district here. And here we are going to introduce filter industrial waste. This is going to cost 2 credits per zoned industrial building, but it will reduce the amount of waste that these buildings are producing. And we're also going to provide peach trees workers with a workers' union here in this district. So this will slightly increase adult citizen happiness, but reduce residential tax income by 2%. And to that, or with that point, I should take a look at the budget panel here. I think we want to increase taxes slightly here. Let's bring up residential to 11%. We'll kick up our commercial and industrial to 10%. And I think that as the new mayor of Peach Trees, I can justify this request of slightly increased taxes because we are introducing all kinds of wonderful city amenities. We have already built a hospital and a library, fire station, a new police headquarters. These are all things that are bringing value to our city and our citizens. Do we want anything else in terms of policies for our first industrial district? Let's make sure that we're not missing anything. Maybe, although it is expensive, I think I will include smoke detector distribution here. This will significantly reduce the risk of fire at a cost of 5 credits per building. And I think we also want recycle plastic. So this allows recycling centers to work with plus 20% efficiency. It's a big deal. It does cost 100 credits per recycling center, but I don't mind paying that price to reduce some of the pollution here. And let's go ahead and give our workers free Wi-Fi when they're on the job. This might end up being a strictly public works campus policy, but for now, give it to the whole district. And as for Peachtree's Beach, we want parks and recreation. We are going to monitor power usage and water usage. And here we are going to encourage a schools out policy, which the citizens will prefer working over education, and only a small portion of the eligible citizens will go to study in the university. So we will do schools out here. And any of these city planning policies, no, not at the moment. Maybe we'll encourage biking, but we'll get to that later. Over here on the east side, here we are going to do education boost. So this is going to increase our education budget. It's going to prioritize education over working for young adults. All right, with these policies in place, let's now spend some time focusing on our town center. Okay, I do want to bring an elder care facility into the city, but I don't know that this town center is the right area. I think this might be a structure for maybe this neighborhood over here, so we will hold off on that. Same deal for this child health center. So what else do we want to include in our town center? I'm finding this space to be just a little frustrating to work with because of the curves and because it's maybe not big enough. And, that's poor planning on my part, but this is what we're working with. I'm not going to change it right now. So let's see if we could maybe add a carousel park here. And we will bring in another smaller asset. We'll use this Sunken City Plaza. This is an asset that I downloaded from the workshop. That looks a little wonky there. Let's go ahead and move this. That's much better. And is there anything we can do about this area here? All right, we'll see if that helps when we place down other buildings. It created this kind of, I don't know, ridge behind this police headquarters, but that might be all right. All right, we're providing the citizens of Peachtrees with a post office, so now they can send out their postcards. And we can kind of hear that cash cha-ching sound all over the place here. And that's because we're, again, introducing these services in this central area. So a lot of our residents are benefiting from what we're introducing here. Are there any unique buildings that we can put in this area? Looks like we haven't unlocked very many of them. We have a temple complex, but this thing's massive. We need a bigger spot for it. At this point, I'm thinking we may want to do something like a sports hall and gymnasium, or perhaps we wait to unlock some additional buildings and leave this for the time being. Let's spend a little bit of time mitigating pollution in this area. The first step is bringing in enough recycling centers to bring our garbage processing status into the green. So let's do that. Oh, and that reminds me, I need to open up our budget. I still have this healthcare cranked to 150. That was in an effort to slow that death wave, but I think we're good to go now. And instead, I am going to go ahead and bump our garbage budget. And let's see where this puts us. Okay, one more should do it. And let's place this. All right, I don't love this, so we may move it. We're going to go ahead and place this here temporarily. At least that's what I'm thinking at the moment. And what we want to do, now that we have a garbage processing status in the green, we want to begin emptying this landfill. And we're going to go ahead and turn off these two landfill sites. So we're going to empty this one all the way, destroy it, and then we'll do the same thing for these two.
Another way to mitigate pollution from industrial zones is to make sure that our buildings are leveling up all the way. There are two considerations for leveling buildings. One is having educated citizens. So we can see here that in order for this building to level up, we need to educate more citizens. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that our education facilities can handle all potential students. So let's check on that. Yeah, it looks like we have
615 eligible elementary students, and we have a capacity of 900. However, if we look at the map, if we were living here on the east side, we would have to bus our students all the way over to the far end of East Side, or even over to Peachtrees Beach. And this is especially ironic because we're providing an education boost in our Peachtrees Beach East Side policy. So let's go ahead and remedy this problem. We are going to, well, I want to bring a school in a central location here. So you know what we'll do? With our 38,000 credits, and actually it's more like with closed gifts and favors, we are asking the Parks and the Autumns to move out of their homes and instead of living here, we are going to ask them to relocate just a couple of blocks away onto Elm Street here. So let's give them some time to move out. And there they go. Looks like they must be in temporary housing while their new homes are being constructed here. The city really needed to put this school up right away. So here we go. And let's go ahead and zone that for a couple of small homes. So there's a new elementary school, and while we're at it, oh, look at this. We have over 1,400 eligible high school students with only a capacity for 1,000. So let's go ahead and place a high school. Now, because this is a high school, I actually don't mind having it placed, somewhere up, like maybe here. I sort of like this look of having it almost overlooking this part of town. Although I really dislike what it did here. This is something that I mentioned City Planner Plays in my last episode. But this is something that I picked up from him. I never even really noticed when the grading would cause wonky things to happen. Like let's see if we can find one here. I mean, this to my eyes doesn't look totally unrealistic. I'm from the Northeast. There are plenty of examples I can think of where houses are built kind of along mountain lines. That's a poor way to say that, but you know what I'm saying. However, when the pavement and asphalt start like dripping down or up, let me see if we can find one here. Okay, here we go. This is a perfect example. Like, this looks absolutely ridiculous. So I never used to see it, but then once I started watching City Planner Plays, he really focuses a lot of attention on that. And so now I also tend to notice it every time. So with that in mind, we moved our high school. This looks much better. Let's see what it might be like to go to school here as a student. Kind of look out the window. You can see Peach Trees Beach East Side. Kind of a bustling town with streets going up in this kind of hillside. It's beautiful. All right, so how are we doing? Looks like we are in need of educated workers, which that's all right. We are solving that problem as we speak. And back to trying to limit pollution here. So we were talking about the two considerations for leveling up industrial buildings, or really any building. It's education, which we just addressed, and it is coverage of services. So let's see if we can identify any areas in need in this district. Yeah, here we go. So it looks like our industrial buildings over here to the south of the district require additional services. Yeah, see, building needs to be covered. Okay, so let's see what we need over here. We're all right on medical. That's decent fire coverage. Fantastic police coverage. So that must mean one thing. These folks need some places to go take a lunch break, maybe meet up with friends, spend some time outside, although the area is a little gross right now. Hopefully that will remedy over time. And, one thing I'm noticing here, like, look at all of these blank spaces in these tiny little... Look at this ice cube factory. Do we really want these kinds of... Wow, I didn't notice these sort of intermingled tiny commercial areas. That's very interesting. I am going to go ahead and leave that alone. Find it kind of interesting, so we'll leave that there. And let's bring in a plaza. We'll put this here. Folks can meet up after work or before work, grab a bite to eat. And then how about we provide a more spacious park area, and we will want to put that right next to this plaza. And let's see how that impacts the buildings here. Okay, that seems to be helping quite a bit, although this area here is still starved. Let's see if we can convince one of our tenants here to evacuate so that we may install something for the workers of this area. Quiet Corner Shop and Dino Oil are taking many weeks to demolish, or to move out and to be demolished, but we will get there eventually. There we go. And there is a plaza. So that should help this industry area significantly. We can see there are a lot of commercial district challenges here. We've got not enough educated workers. That is just going to be a matter of time. And I think that happened because there was a period of time that went by where we did not have schools available in this Peachtree's Beach East Side neighborhood. So hopefully over time that will remedy. And at this point, I think what we want to do is save up some credits, allow our currently zoned areas to continue to fill in, and see where we end up in just a few minutes. Wow, look at this. Story message. What a wonderful city you have. Your citizens are happier than ever. You have gained 25,000 money. Excellent. 25,000 money is gifted to us. I wonder if that's because we achieved this. Yeah, look at this. Average citizen happiness over 85. That's excellent. All right, so it looks like we are making excellent progress on our win conditions. One thing that we have made zero progress on is this 15,000 squares of organic and local produce specialization. Now, the way that we achieve that is by going into our zoning and marking our commercial area as organic and local produce. So what this does is it says changes commercial area to consist of buildings like organic produce shops, electric car charging stations, and such. It produces 50% of sold goods locally. Truck traffic in the area is reduced by 50%. It increases electricity consumption by 20%, but reduces garbage production by 20%. Now, one of the things that I like to do when I introduce organic and local produce districts is to imagine that, and not just imagine, I think the game actually operates this way, that the produce is being produced from local farms. So I mentioned at the beginning of this episode that we were looking for farmland, and we really only have a limited area here to the south. So it looks like to me we're going to have to import some of our produce and some of our organic and local produce district specialization. So what that means is we're going to need to combine what farmland we have, most likely with a cargo rail line that will feed the specialized district. So we won't be able to get to both of those things today, but we can at least make our way to this farmland by purchasing the necessary tiles. So let's do this now. And this is quite a trek to get to the farmland there. But we will go ahead and mark out a gravel road that takes us there. And we want the majority of this to be straight. So we'll do something like this. And then we can figure out where we want to connect it. Maybe here. Now, we're not going to do anything with this road at the moment. I put it here mostly as a reminder to begin next episode with an effort toward farming. But for now, we want to get to a point where we've reached more of an equilibrium here. I would hate to end an episode with so many problems happening. So let's give this a little bit more time and just enjoy our city in the meantime. Let's return to our town center and begin utilizing this space a little bit more. One of the things I want to do here is to provide citizens an opportunity to walk between these buildings. So let's do that now. All right, this is one of those things that does not need to be this hard. I am just trying to be... I am just being too particular about the placement of it. However, that looks pretty cool, so we will leave that. All right, so now we have some more pedestrian accessibility here. Let's see if our citizens utilize these paths. Yeah, there we go. We have somebody. Let's see who this is. James Adams. He is a well-educated senior. He resides at the Underhill residence, and he is unemployed. He's heading home right now. Let's follow James home. Oh, there he is. All right, what a wonderful home he has. Okay, so it looks like some of our problems are being solved here over time. The introduction of these schools over here, I think, are taking care of that. And I want to continue working on town center here. Let's go ahead and bring in some commercial spaces. And it looks like we have some problems with not having enough workers. So maybe what we could do here is utilize some of this area for additional housing. Although I'm noticing if I want to make some connections here, I'm probably going to have to reclaim quite a few homes and businesses. And we are going to need to move this cemetery. So we have to empty this building. And I fear that without introducing... I keep using the word introduce. I just mean bringing in another building. Let's use the word building. Without building another cemetery, I think we would run into problems. So let's go ahead and place a cemetery somewhere kind of... I don't love any of these locations, frankly.
Okay, I really dislike this, but I'm going to place this cemetery here. Okay, so emptying has finished. Now we can make these roadway connections here. And we will start by connecting these local roads so that we can move our cemetery. So let's count this out real quick. So we have one. This can go. This might get a little wonky. We will do what we can.
Okay, that looks nice. Let's move our cemetery over to here. And I don't love that we have two cemeteries, one here and one here. So later when we have an excess of funds, we will relocate this. But for now, that should work fine. What do we want to do with this 4-lane road, Lilac Avenue? What do we want to do with it? It's sort of randomly a 4-lane road, as far as I could tell. Maybe it's was intended to be kind of a east-west collector road. All right, well, this is a good time to remind everybody that I am not a road hierarchy expert, and I am playing the game for fun. So let us go ahead and bring this out to here. And then I am simply going to make kind of a weird intersection there. And then what we can do is maybe turn this little plot of land into maybe a commercial area or something that's a little bit more intentional than just residential zoning. But for now, let's use our newly acquired high-density residential zoning to increase our population and hopefully solve some of these worker issues. Although it looks like we're doing better already. We do have a few abandoned spots here. Those will fill in hopefully soon. And to meet the demands of our new high-density residential zone, we will introduce some high-density commercial zoning as well. These places tend to be very loud, though, so I kind of want to rethink. Oh, look at this. I didn't even put this on. You know what? Maybe we should relocate this right now. Let's find a better spot for this. How about down here? We don't even need that. All right, I like this. This kind of separates them a little bit and makes it so that people in this neighborhood have a local church and an area that they could go. All right, let's turn this on and stop emptying. Awesome. All right, so returning to this area here, we were bringing in a few spots for some high-density commercial. All right, we will leave that there and maybe do something like this. I want to leave enough space for a basketball court. Let me see. Where did I leave space here? So just to the left of that, or even with this edge. All right, perfect. And before this space, actually, you know what? Why don't we put a park right here? Considering that we have some high density zoning here, might be nice to have a dog park. Yeah, this will allow people to own pets and still give them an outlet to exercise, play. And while we let people move into that part of the city, let's check on some of our services. We're still doing great on healthcare, although we can easily afford a medical clinic over here. That seems like a good spot. How's our fire protection? Let's go ahead and bring in a nice firehouse to this area. This should help a lot of these houses level up as well. Yeah, look at that. Oh yeah, let's go. All right, so we have an electricity issue here. No big deal. Our funds are significant at the moment, so we can afford to place down a few more wind turbines here. And that should solve that problem. All right, how is our pollution fighting campaign going? Looks like this is still 34% full. I'd really love to get to a point where at a minimum, we have demolished this landfill before the end of this episode. Make it so that when we return for episode 3, we can kind of quickly empty these two and level this first industrial district up all the way to really minimize some of this gross pollution that we have around here. While I buy some time for that to happen, let me see if we can't make this this entrance to our city a little bit more beautiful. Eventually, I want to put a city arch here, I think. But since we can't do that for now, let's try something else. Okay, does that make it look nicer? In some ways it does, but when we zoom out like this, it definitely looks very goofy. So we will remedy that at a later time. For now, my attention has been distracted by some pretty obvious traffic issues that we have here at the entrance to our city. I know that one of the problems is simply a matter of people moving into this new district or this new neighborhood. But you don't like to see this kind of slow creeping traffic here. So let's take a look at our junctions. And maybe we put a light in here. And let's see if that helps the issue. All right, at a minimum, it seems like traffic is moving in a way that would make me feel a little better as a driver, I guess. Maybe not, though. Look at that backup. We are going to leave this alone for now. I will put it on the list of things to solve next time. Oh, man. Look at this. This is a mess. Not enough educated workers. Speaking of that, we brought in a lot of high-density zoning here. Let's also provide a local school for these folks. Our high school capacity is fine. I think we'll leave that alone for now. We will, however, build a small library branch in this area. And how about we place that here? And we are at 21%. Let us give the city a little bit of time to grow. Okay, we are at 9,621 population.
Excellent. We have a major problem with not having enough educated workers. But besides that, it looks like the city of Peach Trees is doing well. Let's see if we can help this process a little bit. Our demand for residential is still very high, so I think we can maybe zone out some more of these spaces. Although, I want to be careful not to make our city look too strange with zoning. Like, I think it kind of makes sense to have this sort of central area as high density, but if we were to place high density zoning here along Elm Street, I think that might feel very strange, especially, imagine that you're a resident here in this East Side neighborhood. And, one of the things that you enjoy is being surrounded by this kind of mountain. And then your city decides to zone high density buildings that are, 20 stories high. That might be pretty disappointing. So let's stick with some low density residential zoning here. And we will go all the way around while respecting some of the places where we might continue roads. And while we're at it, let's just go around and kind of fill out any other area that needs to be filled. This was cleared earlier for some public services. I think we will keep this space open and available for later use. I'm going to take a look at our noise pollution. If it isn't too noisy, which doesn't appear to be, I think we can do some high density zoning here in this area. And this makes sense to me. That might get a little too noisy. Let's check. That might be okay. If folks complain, maybe we will demolish their home without any notice. Yeah, let's try this. And then maybe what we can do to try to mitigate some of the noise pollution here is, although this is going to displace a lot of parked cars. But we have, looks like we have a couple of empty parking lots here. Maybe not empty, but available spots. People can park along Smith Boulevard here. So, for the trees. That actually looks more consistent anyway, since we had this tree-lined street over in this area along Finch. It's actually coming together kind of nicely with these walking paths and these tree-lined streets. This is a kind of a messy but beautiful area here, if you ignore the empty commercial zoning. All right, where are we with this building? 10%. Let us power through the remaining 10% here. We'll kind of put this on a countdown. Let's see. Okay, this should do it. We just saw a few of our garbage trucks return. We are at 2%. Maybe the remaining garbage trucks have to return. Okay, 1%, and yes, 0% full. So this is an empty landfill. Okay, so now that this is empty, let's go ahead and demolish it. Excellent. Limiting some more of that pollution. And we might as well go ahead and get a start on emptying this one. This is 68% full, so it will take some time. We do need to turn it on for it to be able to empty. We should see our garbage trucks get to work right away. Yeah, there they go. And they're just bringing the garbage right over to
the nearby recycling centers. And I want to check on that really quickly here. Our garbage processing status is in good shape, so we can leave that alone. All right, I think that will do it for today. We've made tremendous progress. We're very near 10,000 population here in Peachtrees. We have 3 new districts that we've introduced to the area. So we've got Peachtrees Beach, Peachtrees Beach East Side, which I think we're just going to call this East Side. And then we have our first industrial district. We've begun the transition to sustainable energy with our geothermal power plant and our wind farm here. And we have built out some of our town center here. And I kind of love the way that this is looking with some of our high density housing coming in. Just ignore the slanted sunken plaza and imagine that this is level. All right, with that, we will conclude episode 2. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time.